Russian forces storm Azovstal plant in Mariupol. West says Putin may declare all-out war on Ukraine. US says Russia planning to annex Donetsk and Luhansk. UK says Russia's military is significantly weaker now. Russia accuses Israel backing neo-Nazis in Ukraine. Russian forces have launched a fresh assault on the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. Reports say that thick columns of smoke were seen rising from the area amid sounds of explosions. The deputy commander of the Azov battalion reportedly said that Russian air forces have started to storm the facility. The development comes almost 2 weeks after Putin ordered Russia's military not to storm the plant but rather block it off. However, Russia has claimed that their forces are shelling and bombing offensive positions adopted by Ukrainian troops. Mariupol Mayor Vladimir Bochenko has said that more than 200 civilians are still holed up with fighters in the Azovstal steel plant. Ukraine has said that at least 12 civilians were killed in Russian shelling in the Donetsk region. Kyiv said many areas of Donetsk were under constant fire and regional authorities were trying to evacuate civilians from frontline areas. 5 people were reportedly injured in Ukraine's Mykolaiv region as a result of attacks from Russian forces in the past 24 hours. Ukraine's military has said that Russian forces are trying to take over key towns of Rubizin and Popasna in Luhansk. Ukraine's armed forces also said that it repulsed 2 Russian attacks in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. Meanwhile, Russia's defense minister says its forces have struck a logistics center located at a military airfield near Odessa. Russia alleges that the facility housed weaponry provided to Kyiv by its Western allies. Moscow said the airfield had Bayraktar TB2 drones as well as missiles and ammunition from the US and European countries. Kremlin also said that more than 11,500 people, including 1,847 children, have been moved from Ukraine into Russia on May 2nd. Russian Defense Ministry claims the people were evacuated at their own request. However, Ukraine has accused Moscow of forcefully deporting thousands of civilians to Russia since the war began. Meanwhile, Russian news agency RIA reported that loud explosions were heard in the border city of Belgorod in Russia. Russia planning to annex Donetsk and Luhansk, says US. Michael Carpenter, US's ambassador to OSCE, said that Moscow is planning to annex Donetsk and Luhansk. Carpenter also said that Russia is planning to recognize the southern city of Kherson as an independent republic. Michael Carpenter, US ambassador to OSCE in Europe, said, "Now we believe that the Kremlin may be trying to organize a Kherson Republic in the Kherson Oblast of southern Ukraine. Such sham referenda fabricated votes will not be considered legitimate, nor will any attempts to annex additional Ukrainian territory." Carpenter added that the suspected actions are straight out of the Kremlin's playbook and will not be recognized by the US or its allies. Meanwhile, reports suggest Vladimir Putin is set to declare all-out war on Ukraine within days. So far, Putin has called the invasion a special military operation for a supposed denazification of Ukraine. UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace said Putin announced mass mobilization of his reserves for a final push in Ukraine on May 9. Moscow accuses Israel of backing neo-Nazi regime in Kyiv. Russian Foreign Ministry has now accused Israel's government of supporting the neo-Nazi regime of Ukraine. The row with Israel erupted after Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov claimed that Hitler had Jewish origins. Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid lambasted Lavrov, saying that his comment was an unforgivable falsehood. In response, Russia's Foreign Minister said that Lapid's comments were anti-historical. The Russian ministry also reiterated Lavrov's point that Zelensky's Jewish origins did not preclude Ukraine from being run by neo-Nazis. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky questioned if Israel's relation with Russia will remain as usual. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, said, "So the question is, will the Israeli ambassador stay in Moscow knowing their new position? Will relations with Russia remain as usual?" The Ukrainian president added that Russia has forgotten all the lessons of World War II. Further, he said, after the Russian missile attack at Babin Yar in Kyiv, after the menorah damaged by shelling at the site of the mass excavations in Drobsky Yar near Kharkiv, after the deaths of ordinary people who survived the Nazi occupation and Nazi concentration camps from Russian shelling. Such an anti-Semitic thrust by their minister means Russia has forgotten all the lessons of World War II. UK says Russia's military is significantly weaker now. UK Ministry of Defense has said Russia's military is now significantly weaker as a result of its invasion of Ukraine. Ministry of Defense, United Kingdom, said the modernization of its physical equipment has not enabled Russia to dominate Ukraine. Failures both in strategic planning and operational execution have left it unable to translate numerical strength into decisive advantage. Russia's military is now significantly weaker, both materially and conceptually, as a result of its invasion of Ukraine. Meanwhile, UK PM Boris Johnson addressed the Ukrainian parliament and said that the country will win the war. Johnson also announced another $376 million in military aid for Ukraine as he hailed its resistance to Russia. Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, said, "I can announce today from the UK government a new package of support totaling £300 million, including radars to pinpoint the artillery bombarding your cities, heavy lift drones to supply your forces, and thousands of night vision devices. We will carry on supplying Ukraine alongside your other friends with weapons, funding, and humanitarian aid until we have achieved our long-term goal, which must be so to fortify Ukraine that no one will ever dare to attack you again." The military aid includes electronic warfare equipment, a counter-battery radar system, and GDS jamming equipment. Putin's retaliatory sanctions against the West. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree on retaliatory economic sanctions against the West. Reports say the sanctions are in response to the unfriendly actions of certain foreign states and international organizations. The decree will forbid the export of products and raw materials to the individuals and entities sanctioned. It also prohibits transactions with foreign individuals and companies hit by Russia's retaliatory sanctions. The retaliatory sanctions come as Europe is expected to propose a sixth package of sanctions this week. According to reports, the new set of European sanctions are likely to contain a possible embargo on buying Russian oil. Macron speaks to Putin. Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke to French President Emmanuel Macron in a 2-hour phone conversation on May 3rd. Putin reportedly told Macron that EU countries are ignoring war crimes committed by the Ukrainian forces. Kremlin's statement: it was stressed that the EU member countries ignore war crimes committed by the Ukrainian forces and massive bombardments of Donbas villages as cities, which will kill peaceful civilians. However, Putin reportedly also told Macron that Russia will still willing to continue dialogue with Kyiv. Putin also reportedly blamed Western sanctions for the threats to global food security. So this was for today. Give us your thoughts on this in the comment section, and if you appreciate our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your family and friends. We will meet soon in a new video. Thank you. Jai Hind.